This is Baggies View. Coming up, Roy Hodgson faces his former club. Hello and welcome to Baggies View. I'm Paul Bradley and I'm joined in our Fort Dunlop studios by West Bromwich Albion correspondent Chris Lipkowski. Hi Chris.
Hello.
Well, the big question I suppose ahead of the Liverpool game is, will Roy Hodgson be seeing this as a revenge mission?
I wouldn't have thought so. I think Roy's, he's 63. He's managed here, there and everywhere. He's managed national teams. I can't imagine this game will have any public significance to him. Privately, I suspect it will. He feels he was harshly treated there a little bit. He never really won the fans over. They wanted Kenny Dalglish. He took the job of the man they wanted. But it's not really within his modus operandi to behave like that. He's very focused towards West Brom. It's all about his own players, his own team, his own structured discipline. I can't imagine he will give too much concern to the hype that will create, the bad feeling maybe that he'll get from the away fans. It'll be all about West Brom. But the good thing is, of course, he will know their players and he will have some insight into what Albion can expect.
You mentioned the fans there. What sort of reception do you think you'll get from both sets of fans, really? I imagine maybe a bit of a dodgy reception from Liverpool and he'll get some real backing from the Hawthorns faithful. Yeah,
I think West Brom fans will really be on the defensive, actually, because just from reading Twitter feeds or social media, you get the feeling there's a real bitterness from Liverpool fans for whatever reason. It didn't work out with him. There were plenty of reasons why. Some of them perhaps were attributed to Roy's management at the time, but there were other things going on. There was a boardroom struggle going on. He inherited a pretty mediocre bunch of players, it has to be said. He didn't have much money to spend in the summer, and he did the best with a fairly bad hand, if you like.
Now, one player you probably won't know too much about from first-hand experience is Andy Carroll, but West Brom have got a fairly good record when they've faced him in the past.
Yeah, he played for Newcastle this season at the Hawthorns and in what was to become Chris Hughton's last match. And Albion really blotted him out of that game to the extent that it was picked out for analysis after the game by the TV channels. And they did a real job on him. They knew how to handle him, and on that day it was Paul Sean who particularly shone against him. This weekend, Jonas Olsen, Abdullah Maiti will be the two men at the back, and they're going to have their work cut out because we've seen what Suarez can do. Stephen Gerrard is likely to come back into the team, and of course Andy Carroll. We know he's very strong in the air. They'll be trying to get balls into him, and it'll be a test for Albion. But I have to say, although West Brom have never actually scored a Premier League goal against Liverpool, this has to be probably the weakest Liverpool team I've seen at this level. And I don't think the two teams will go into a match so equally matched as they have in previous years. And I think that gives Albion a chance.
OK, and moving on slightly now, you've taken a look at the rest of the season and the rest of West Brom's fixtures. Where do you see them picking up the vital points that might get them out of trouble?
Well, you're right, and the next four games, I don't give them much joy, actually. I have them down for a draw against Liverpool, despite what I've just said a few minutes ago about it being a good chance for them. I do feel they'll draw on Saturday, and I've got them to draw at Sunderland. I think Chelsea and Tottenham will be tough matches, and I can see them slipping up in both of those. And I think it'll be the final four games, which could be certainly the most productive. I think they'll get something at Wolves. I think they'll beat Villa after all these years. I think now would have been a prime time to play Villa, but just looking at what's happening there, I think Albion will fancy their chances. I think they'll beat Everton as well, who by then will be on the sunbed, you would hope. And that leaves Newcastle, and I think by then a point might be enough to keep them up. It would give them 43 points if they were to get a draw at Newcastle based on the predictions I set out in last Saturday's Birmingham Mail. So I give them a chance. I think they've got a very good prospect of stopping up. I've felt for a while now that the three North-West clubs will go down. That's not me trying to necessarily champion the Midlands in any way. I just happen to think the four West Midland teams, for one reason or another, will prove stronger over the 38 games than Blackburn, Blackpool and Wigan.
OK, Chris. Well, thanks for your thoughts today. And thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week with more Baggies View.